Don't you ever let nobody push you around or push your passion around or take it for granted. Your passion is your passion.
When kings die, remove your soul and take a deep breath and listen to the screams of pain and anger about our brother's death. How their lives seem to have no value and no one hears their cry. On the cold, wet, bloody streets at night is where our babies die. What must we do to reach our children's mind? What path can we show them that explains mankind? How can we remove the shadows of gang and war to love? How can we show them that prayer works, plus mercy from above? Let's demonstrate God's plan to redeem us all. Let's hand in hand motivate Martin's call. We must help our brothers. We got to do more than try. We keep losing our race when kings die. From the womb to the church, to the alley, to the front door, to the hospital, graveyards, courthouse, and many more. From the depths of our heritage, sold slaves, ghettos, and wannabes, to the shores of hallelujah, kingdom rise to our destiny. Put the fear down, put the guns down, and wear your black skin. Put on your robes of excellent, intelligent, God-fearing men. Change your language, your appetite for drugs, abuse to education. Relieve yourselves of lost time, chaotic venues, and false supplications. Wear your crowns of royalties and stop drinking from those goblins of hell. We are tired of burying our doctors, lawyers, and teachers under the sky. We all lose our purpose and dreams when kings die. And when your soul is removed from God's precious earth, let us remember your beautiful legacies from the time of your birth. Not the stories of you been gunned down by cops and gang banging from day to day, but how you manned up for your families and taught your babies how to pray. Get on this mission like Malcolm, Sharpton, Tavis, Farrakhan. Be your brother's keeper. Terrence, Felipe, Oscar, and Trayvon. Raise your head up high because we can no longer tarry. We need to get this done, my brothers and sisters, by any means necessary.
Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy. Now is the time
Today we're going to talk about, the civil rights struggles in the 60s and the 70s compared to the struggles of the present.
Mm-hmm. And we're also going to look at how those organizations today shaped how we lived and how we view civil rights today, and what lessons we can take away from those organizations of the past that can help us move our future.
Well, I think that's going to be a hard task, because the civil rights struggles of the 60s is a lot different than the civil rights struggles of the present, and I mean struggles, period. Back in the 60s and even in the 70s, they had a cause to protest and march and beat the streets. They made it so easy for us now that they give us pretty much everything they want to get in return to take from us what they want.
Well, I think that there was definitely a sense of complacency. I like the words that way back, and I don't know if you remember Sister Soldier, but she used the word state of accommodation. And we've actually kind of reached that in America as black men. We reached a state of accommodation where we're okay with a certain level of racism. We've learned to kind of tolerate it, and there really should be a zero tolerance for a lot of what we see in this country, especially when you look at police brutality in the black community, when you look at unemployment in the black community, when you look at inequality in terms of workplace and upper opportunities. There really is a problem that we have with equality, and I think that the fact that we've reached a state of accommodation is troubling.
Well, I think we kind of accept the police brutality to a point because we accept the brutality that we bring on each other.
Well, I think
we say it's different, but it's not different. It's just who's doing it. We looking at it because the brutality we receive is from supposed to be peacemakers or peacekeepers are the ones inflicting just as much brutality on us as our same brothers that we out in the street fighting with.
That's true. Now, I will admit, I have to be honest. We do have a problem within the black community as far as violence is concerned. You look at what's going on in, the neighborhood that I come from, the neighborhood you come from. You look at what's going on in St. Louis. You look at what's going on in Chicago,
Detroit, Philly,
all these places. So there is some weight to the fact that we do have some issues we have to address.
Okay, now I want to ask you this question: Should we? Well, we should. I know that, but why is it more of an issue when cops does stuff to us, and than it is when we do it to each other?
I don't know that it's more of an issue, but it's one that we have to pay attention to because of the fact that they are in a position of power. Like, we are not in. Police are in a position of power. They have the backing of law enforcement. They have the weight of the government and the law on their side. And so because of this, they have an obligation to uphold the law and obey the law. And using the law as a weapon against black people, that not only causes our death, but that stifles our upward mobility. We can't function as a people in our own neighborhoods because we have legal predators who have, like if you got two brothers busting in the street, say a police car, they're both going to jail.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? One brother put another brother down, they're both going to jail. A cop can legally put another young brother down and then go back about his business. And so that's really the biggest issue that we have to pay attention to, is the fact that they're officers, they're peace officers, and they're supposed to be on the street upholding the law, and they're using the law as a shield almost.
Well, you
to
said,
protect,
I'm gonna go back to what you
criminal
said legally. I'm saying supposed.
Yeah,
They supposed to be.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's how I look at it, because they're not.
No, absolutely not.
They and I personally think those who be abusing black people, those who be abusing white people, those who be abusing women, I think they get a kick out of it.
I think they do.
Because you just can't literally beat somebody up because he won't tell you his name. You can't literally just shoot a person because you tell him to walk to his car, he takes a wallet out of his car and you shoot him. You can't shoot a man in the middle of the street, and nothing happened to you, and it's on camera.
Yes.
So I think it's a plot. It's a plot to destroy the African American male and the young white trash male and the young Latino. It's a plot. And it's not just, and this is what I be trying to explain to people, it's not just the white cops out there doing it, it's the black cops that's doing it, the Spanish cops doing it. Everybody that got a badge is doing it because they feel that they can get away with it. The only reason why they focus on the urban area and the black area because that's the news right now.
It goes a little, I'll take it a step further because I want, people to really understand that police brutality is everyone's issue. It really is. It's everyone's issue. I can show videos of Latina mothers getting jacked up, white women getting jacked up, children getting jacked up, the elderly getting jacked up. There was a story where a 78-year-old man was jacked up by the police coming home from church, 78-year-old white man. And so what we have to understand is that they like to make young black men the face of this issue. And that's easy to feel to do that because young black men are scary.
Right.
And young black men are intimidating to those who might be ignorant or might be privileged or might be racist. And so they put this face on there to intimidate people and say, oh, it's just these young black men, these urban communities, when in fact police are jacking and whooping people's behinds all across the country and all across the racial and financial spectrum.
But I think, and another reason why I think they focus more on the African American community, what you're talking about the face, it's just like they're not going to let people see that them beating their people up as much as they beating our people up. TV not going to allow that. Media not going to allow that. And the government not going to allow that. Because that's their way, keeping us separated. Just like the thing going on in, Hong Kong right now, over there, they got 400 young people, 400,000, 40,000, 50,000 young people marching the streets because of what they're going through. Now, if they can do that over there, and by me following them, that situation is worse than ours.
Well, honestly, if you look at it, though, here's the problem. We have young people, and we have a populace in general that's kind of distracted and divided. There's so many things pulling at the attentions of our young people, and there's so many ways. I have to give America credit. America is gifted at the art of distraction and gifted at the art of deception. And so it keeps us looking one way while something else is going on over here. And so we can't get united long enough because we're arguing about superficial issues. Like you have a white man on one side of the road yelling racial epithets at a black man on the other side of the road, and both of them living on the same street, struggling, trying to eat.
You're trying to eat.
You know what I mean? So that's really one of the biggest problems that we have. We can't find the common ground long enough to fight the real issues that not only Black America faces, but America faces in general.
But the thing is, and that's why this is like a melting pot. You got every nationality in America. So you can't get a Mexican that ain't got no green card, or an Albanian or a Russian, whoever here, they just be here to march with us, and they going through the same thing because they got stuff over their head. You know what I mean? But you can, and black people, we're fed up with marching because we don't see nothing coming of it.
Well, that's the problem. And I've said that to people, and I've said it on my radio show. I'll say it here on television. I've always said that you want to march, stomp the streets, I will stomp the streets with you, but there has to be weight behind it. I'm not going to march for nothing. I don't think that marching by itself is useless. And we've talked about this several times. If you looked at what happened with Brother Martin Luther King Jr., he marched and he protested, but there was always weight behind it. There was always something behind it. During the Birmingham bus boycotts, in Alabama, he told people, keep your butts off those buses.
Yeah.
Because he knew marching by itself wasn't enough. You can't just appeal to the morality of those oppressing you. They're oppressing you. So their moral center is very small if it exists at all. So what you have to do is you have to appeal to their interests as well as make a moral stand.
Yeah.
And so that moral stand was not only just for them, it was for us as a people. And that was one of the geniuses of those marches. It pulled us together and it showed a solidarity, but there was always weight behind it. Right now we don't have the kind of weight behind anything. We'll march and we'll walk.
That's why we don't have that full solidarity either. Yeah. It's like last summer I was trying to raise like 40 dozen of eggs. Now, some people say it's going to give me some eggs. Because what I was going to do is I was going to go into the project and give young kids egg sandwiches. You know what I mean? I was going to feed them. I was going to do whatever I could do to help their morning start off healthy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Put a little something in their stomach. But then when you start doing that, then you can start implementing other ways to get them to be, more social. You know what I mean? Want to do more within their community. But if we don't get out there and feed them and educate them and start spending time with them, what you see is what you get. You know what I mean? I don't think nobody is above anybody. I don't think nobody is better than anybody.
No.
But when I see, and I say this all the time, I don't know what their hidden agenda is, I don't see it, but when I see mega churches and I see all these people around here asking, and I gotta give this is the thing I gotta give white churches credit on. You'll see their buses, big buses in neighborhoods, picking up kids. They have school buses. Whether the kids go, they ride through there. You know what I mean? And I don't, whatever they preaching, that's on them. But at least they trying to get these kids closer to something.
Well, see now, I probably get myself. Well, I get in trouble for this a lot, and I don't really mind because I like speaking the truth. And I've said this on my radio show. I'll say it all the time. Right now, we have a crisis, and I use the word crisis, in black churches because what we have is the black churches have really become almost another parasite in terms of finance. For our communities.
Hold that thought. We're going to take a break.
All right.
And we'll be back, and let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Peace.
I'm launching my new web series, The Great Griot, on October the 11th. And I want you to check me out. You can follow me on social media sites. And definitely look at the videos on YouTube and subscribe to the channel because weekly I'm coming out with videos that's going to give you more information about who you are, the great people that we come from. It's so important that you know history, and not just history, but true history. You ready to learn?
Hey everybody, we're back again. I'm Brother Saeed, this is my main man Doc Sen, and you're watching Let's Talk About It. And we're gonna pick right up where we left off.
And like you said, you don't want to call it a church thing, but again, you have to challenge every aspect of our communities if we want to get better. And I think this is an area that we've often been afraid to challenge, but we have to. And you look at the money that changes hands. And I say this, rest his soul, I miss my father, as the son of a Baptist minister. You would be stunned to know how much money changes hands in the black church and how little of that money actually goes back into the black community. And I think that's a sad thing, because when you see that kind of money, and I've always said, I think that preachers should live well. I don't think that it's anything wrong with a preacher having a nice car. I don't mind a preacher having a Mercedes or a nice car. I don't mind a preacher having a big home. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you're driving a Lamborghini or a Mercedes or a Benz,
but you got to get back to your flock.
right, and
You
you're
have
in a
to.
5, 10, 20 room
Yeah,
mansion,
and
and your church is in a community that's struggling,
struggling.
or your parishioners and your churchgoers are struggling,
I-
then you're as much a parasite, in my view,
Yeah.
as any other corporation
and
trying to take
and
over
I
that
tell
community.
people, and I tell people this all the time. There is no way in heck that senior citizens and elderly people should be crying about health care.
No,
With all these churches, all these organizations, the religious organizations, with the money they make, with the people in the church, they should be offering senior citizens free health care, free check, free everything. And senior citizens shouldn't have to sit there and fill out a whole bunch of paperwork. You know what I'm saying? And another thing is, like, I don't totally blame the church, the ministers, for how they living. I got to put some of that blame on the flock because they feeding that.
yeah, some
They
of it.
feeding that.
Some of it you have to, but at the same time,
I'm
you
not
have
saying
to-
no. I'm not saying I'm not blaming the ministers. I'm saying they have to take some of the blame because the dialogue that they selling
Yeah.
is working.
Yeah.
It's working.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, but in terms of the flock, some of it you do blame, but I do have some empathy for them, and I say this because they're giving, and with the idea and the mindset that they'll be blessed.
They'll be blessed.
That they're
But
going to get
my whole
something in
thing is
return,
this,
and
though, and like I said, I consider myself a Muslim for a reason. But even if you're a Muslim, if you're a Christian, if you whatever, if you giving and you hoping or thinking or praying that your blessing is going to come through your minister, you giving for nothing. If that's the case, you might as well give me the
That's
money.
the truth. That is very
I can-
true.
because I learned one thing, and whether people believe in God or not, I believe in God, and I know all my blessings came when I gave it all to Him, and He said, "Look, it's going to happen, it's going to come." But He said, "This is the thing: I'm taking care of your needs. Your wants is a gift." You know what I mean? So if this minister is driving around in a Ferrari, that ain't his need.
That's his wants.
No, they gave him. They
Yeah,
wanted him to have
exactly.
that. The flock wanted him to have that. You know what I mean? And I don't have a problem with y'all wanting him to have that, but what you giving back to the flock?
Right. Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
And see, now I'm
And
largely
hold
agnostic.
that thought right there for a second. And it's like when you try to sell young brothers and sisters on this, well, how you think they feel? Wait a minute now, because young people ain't done this. Well, you
No.
riding around in a Benz, you riding around in a Cadillac, you going to church. Now my mom come home, she can't even have nothing to eat. But when she go to the church for any type of assistance, she got to fill this out, she got to fill that out, and then she come home with a small bag of food. But you riding around like that. So how you expect young people to? And then to top the whole thing all off, the ministers don't even go out and connect with the brothers and sisters.
No, you don't see them. You don't see them in the street, and that is one thing that I will give the Nation of Islam. When I'm out and about, or I'm in the streets, or I'm in the hood, I see the brothers. I see the brothers. They're selling me final calls. They're selling me bean pies. They're talking to me in that
Even
building. I can see the
even the
brothers.
Jehovah's Witnesses,
Yeah, you
whether
can see-
people leaving what their
Yeah, or
gospel
not.
is,
You can see them. They're knocking
Right,
on
they're
doors
knocking on
and they're
doors.
talking to you. You don't really see that with black churches, black Christian churches, and that's a problem because I look at the overall cipher of it, and I say, you cannot sit and you're driving around again. You're
and you
driving in a
can't. I
Ferrari.
don't understand
you're
how they
driving-
did it.
Well,
How they do it.
Well,
Like Malcolm said, this is what they did. Well, Malcolm said, the only way to get better, complete and total separation. That's how these ministers think now. I'm going to completely and totally separate myself from the real worries and deal with my own worries, and let my flock pay for my worries.
Well, they're very charismatic, and they use faith and scripture as a means to, enrich themselves. And I think that again, we cannot continue to allow them to do that. I had a brother tell me one time when you said old people shouldn't have a problem with health care, and I had a brother say to me one time because I talked about a minister who, when a devout parishioner, devout member of that church, had some trouble. They couldn't get the lights turned on. So they turned to the church for assistance. And the church, they went back and they checked their tire records, And I was like, that shouldn't be it. And he says, well, the church is not a bank. I says, well, they're loaning like
No,
a
the
bank.
bank is the church. The church is probably bigger than the bank.
I was like, yeah, they're loaning like a bank. They're taking in money like a bank. They're trading money like a bank. And that's the biggest problem. If you look at, to get to the core of the religion, I'm not Christian, and I'm largely agnostic, brother, to be honest with you. But if you look at the core of the religion that I studied, and the Jesus that I studied, he's nothing like the ministers we see today.
Nothing like.
Jesus didn't roll up on a camel with fine garb on, and Jesus wasn't raising offerings for himself. And the Jesus that I read about in the books of the Bible and in the Quran, he's feeding people, he's helping people, he's clothing people, he's healing people, and he's not taking offerings, he's not taking money for it. He's doing it because it needs to be done.
And that was his job. And like I tell people, when they say, well, he's only human. He has to do. Let me explain something to you. I am human.
Mm-hmm.
If my job is to be the head of a church, and if my job is to be the head of a team, I have a standard that I have to set, and I have to live by every day.
Mm-hmm.
So don't tell me that he's human. I agree with you.
Right.
But just because he's human don't mean he can go out here and have sex with 4 or 5 girls and expect God not to call him on that. And I know he's human, but you have a job.
Yes.
When you took that oath,
Mm-hmm.
that oath meant that these are the guidelines that you have to follow every day until you die.
Mm-hmm.
And if you swear away from that oath, you need to step down.
Yeah, and again,
I don't get with that.
I don't mind if you want to drive a nice car, drive a nice car. You want to eat well, fine, eat well. You want to live in a nice home, live in a nice home. But when you are taking out of the community and you are not,
giving back,
you're a hustler.
Even when I was coming
Period.
up as a kid, man, I remember churches used to just have picnics and stuff and get together and have big picnics and stuff. Every Sunday you have somewhere to go eat. When I was a kid, church offers stuff like that.
Yes.
They can do that now.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's just that I'm not bashing the church. I'm bashing the people, right? I'm bashing the people that run the churches and want to live that lavish lifestyle because they say, we supposed to be fruitful. Fruitful my foot.
Yes.
If you're gonna be fruitful, get back to the flock.
Yes, and you have these, you have these prosperity ministries like Benny Hinn and Creflo Dollar, which, I don't want to start talking.
But the best
down.
thing about them is you know what you're getting.
Yes.
They tell you what they're getting. Just
Well,
like
see-
they say, listen, I'm here because God told me I need to have this. And I need this.
That's a hustle. And we all know that's a hustle. And I said one time, I got in trouble on my radio show one time because I said something very controversial. And I said that in some ways, hustling preachers are worse than crack dealers. And because with a crack dealer, you're getting crack. Crack dealers, you can't sugarcoat it. They're selling you crack. You know you're getting crack from a crack dealer. But hustling preachers are selling you on the idea that if you give and if you're that you will be successful and God will bless you. And that's not true. When you look at them, and like you said, the flock paid for that Lamborghini. The flock paid for that mansion. The flock paid for that fine $2,000 tie and $10,000 suit and $500 shoes. The flock paid for that. So don't pretend that your blessings. If that's the case, get your blessings from the Lord. Let the Lord rain your blessings down from the sky.
But listen, we can be back after this. We're gonna close up. We're gonna touch more on this before we close up, though. So, you know where you're at.
Let's talk about it right here on ABC.
Yeah.
Hey you, do you know your history? Do you know your culture? We have a beautiful history full of triumph, determination, perseverance, love, hope, faith, family, and community. And as your great griot, I want to share that history with you. A griot? It's pronounced griot, or in English, a griot. It's a West African term for the person who keeps up with the genealogy, the history, the culture, shares the stories of the people, and so much more. Whew. We're like a walking library, full of knowledge and ready to share. I'm going to take you into the history and the culture of your people from all over the world. A griot's purpose is to serve the people. That's right. As the great griot, I am here to serve you. Because the more you know, the more you grow. Wait, that's not my quote. Oh well, it's the truth. Oh, we gonna learn some history today. Yeah. The Great Griot.
Hey everybody, we're back again with, this, you know what this is. Let's talk about it. And, I'm going to get off this church thing. I hate to say thing, but it is what it is. And my whole thing is that as a black person that grew up with parents, with a mother that was into the church, and we always went to church, I seen how different it was back then up to now. People were more giving, you know what I mean? People was more sympathetic, but now they're not sympathetic. And that's just my own personal perspective, my own view, so.
Well, I think that it was always, there was always that element there. But I think with the rise of these quote-unquote prosperity ministries, I think that we've really seen a lot of greed and avarice raise its head in religion. And religion is now less about churches, but specifically the black church, is less about helping people and less about helping the community and more about enriching yourself. And I think that we've really gotten on a bad path with that. And something needs to change, and we need to start collectively as a community addressing that and really start challenging some of these guys who are tooling around in Lambos and tooling around in Benzes and tooling around in these cars and, rocking $5,000 jewelry.
And the money's non-taxable.
Which it's the finest. And I also got in trouble on my radio show for saying one time, if you're going to hustle, don't stand on the corner with rocks in your pocket. Be a minister. Yeah. You get your money tax-free. Your audience is pre-installed. All you got to do is be charismatic.
Be charismatic.
Frederick Douglass was an American social reformer, orator, writer, and statesman who escaped from slavery and became a leader in the abolitionist movement. He stood as a living counterexample to slaveholders' arguments that slaves did not have the intellectual capacity to function as independent American citizens. Douglass held multiple offices and eventually became the first African American nominated for Vice President of the United States, although it was without his approval. This is Wesley Locks Daniels, and this has been your Black History Moment.
Okay, everybody, we're back again. You're watching. Let's talk about it with Brother Saeed and Doc Sin. And before I close, I don't want no church to think I'm against them. I don't want preachers to think I'm against them, because I love everybody that's helping people. I just have an issue with people that's getting over on people, and that's just how it is.
Well, it's not about that. We have to, again, if we're going to get better and we're going to improve as a community, we have to be willing to challenge ourselves and challenge the status quo. And I don't think anyone should be above reproach or above criticism, and especially if it's constructive criticism.
Constructive criticism. So look, when we come back next week, we're going to talk about the high cost of tuition, black collar sports, which I have a real big issue with, and
we're also going to talk about police brutality, what's going on in Ferguson, Missouri. We're going to talk about black women empowerment. We're going to have a lot of things going on. We might even have a couple guests come on and build with us on the show.
Okay, so you're watching Let's Talk About It on ABC 45 from 6:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. every Saturday. Peace.
Peace.